And welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, Rick, it's Monday night, little breezy out, like they would say. But, hey, we got some news to get to, especially from last weekend. But definitely going into this week, a lot with the Bryce Harper situation. You've got some NBA talk, especially teams that are moving towards the playoffs. And you got this Robert Kraft situation. But first, I want to start off with a little bit of NBA, some of your strengths. Anthony Davis, obviously, from 2 weeks ago, they didn't get a deal done to move him to New Orleans. Going into the offseason, do you feel or hear anything where the likely landing spot would be?
It's interesting just because the trade deadline, we didn't really get a chance to touch on it too much last episode, but now that we get the opportunity to really focus on the last 20, 25 games of the regular season for most teams, obviously the Lakers are, at the forefront of it all with LeBron there. And, the Lakers, you would have thought would have got something done only because LeBron seems to make things happen. We know, Anthony Davis signed with Clutch Sports, who's, headed by Rich Paul, who's LeBron's guy. So, people kind of figured that Anthony Davis would have made that move
to LA
at the trade deadline. And the Pelicans, I think, played chicken. I think they wanted to see what their offer was from LA, but they just didn't have a reason to get rid of him. Because teams like the Celtics and some of these other, and maybe the Knicks, when they find out who the number one pick is for the Knicks, we know they made their trade with Porzingis to Dallas, but they might have another asset if they get the number one overall pick. All of a sudden, it could be Zion to the Pelicans or, whatever that might happen. So do I think he lands with the Lakers in the offseason? I think it's too tough to tell only because we don't know where that number one pick's going to end up. If that number one pick ends up with the Knicks, all of a sudden, maybe the Knicks have some pieces. Maybe Dennis Smith Jr. in that number one overall pick, and who knows? So I think it's too early to tell.
Right, and usually that NBA lottery stuff and all that comes out when end of June.
Right, when the season's over. Right, when the season's over, the odds used to be 25% for first place. Mm-hmm. If you had the last place. Sorry, you had the first overall pick at 25%. Now, the last three teams are 14, 14, 14. So that's what they try to get away from the tanking, and this is what the 76ers did forever. They got Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, so it kind of worked out. Markel Fultz not so much, but
I love quick take. I love JJ Redick with them.
Well, yeah, they're a shooter
guy.
And they need they still need more shooting. I think Tobias Harris provides a little bit for them. They have a nice starting five, but their bench is not great. I think we all know that. We could find flaws with teams in the East. The only team without a flaw would be Golden State on their best day. We know that.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting. D. Natus asked. He wanted us to really touch on the subject. I think it's too early to say if Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers because I think it depends what the Knicks do.
Right.
I mean, what if the Knicks get Kyrie, KD, or both of them? And then what if you have Zion? Maybe you don't. What if you don't? If you're the Knicks, I'll ask you. If you're the Knicks and you don't get anything, you just get the number one overall pick. Wouldn't you try to trade that pick to New Orleans? Maybe get Anthony Davis for a year. Otherwise, it's just Zion.
Right. And usually, those picks in the first round are either hit or miss. Mm-hmm. And I rather take a guy that I know could do it in this league. And definitely, if you flip that first for like an Anthony Davis, and then say Durant stays with Golden State or goes to LA, well, then there gives you a leeway to maybe Kyrie, the kid from San Antonio, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. You could probably take a stab.
He's now in Toronto. We'll see what.
Oh, he's in Toronto now. Right. Look, this is how much Puma knows about basketball. But yes,
no, it opens up your options for the Knicks. If you get the number one overall pick, you have a lot of options. I think, but that's why I think it's just too early to tell because the Knicks don't become a trade partner with the Pelicans if they don't get that number one overall pick.
The kid knocks, not knocking anyone's socks.
I don't know. Look, you talked about the first picks are hits and misses. I mean, this draft isn't very. Look, there are three players that I think can really make an impact from day one: John Morant, R.J. Barrett, and Zion. Zion, everyone is going to take Zion number one overall, unless maybe the Knicks make it Dennis Smith Jr. and the first pick to the Pelicans Maybe that's more enticing than what the Lakers can give them with Lonzo Ball and some of these guys. The Lakers' offer stands on the table through the offseason. I mean, Anthony Davis is still a Pelican for a whole nother season after this one, so it'll be interesting. But they know what the Lakers' offer is. It's not going to change. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any worse. But as the offseason comes around, as we start to get into next season already with this free agent class, it's going to be interesting because the Pelicans start to lose their trade value. Look, let's be honest. The Pelicans right now have the Laker offer. Maybe the Celtics offer Jason Tatum and some young guys. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
And keep what they have.
All right. Maybe, and it all depends what Kyrie does there. What if Kyrie stays? Then the Celtics probably keep what they have.
And I heard Kyrie was pretty happy in Boston, but
he's back and forth. He's an interesting character.
You know what it is? I found the Knicks the best solution. Back up the Brinks truck, and I'm just getting Durant and Kyrie, and maybe draft Zion, and I'm good to go.
Well, yeah, it'll be
that's the plan.
Knick fans were so upset with the Porzingis trade for the fact that Porzingis was the first good player they've had since Melo.
Right.
And I get that, but you weren't winning with just Porzingis. He's not that type of player. Now you have the option to try to get Durant and Kyrie. Before you had one max spot. Now you have two max spots. So look, whether the Knicks get it done or not, that'll be, we'll have to refigure this. It'll be around, the summertime. Time will tell. Right, time will tell, and it'll be right in the middle of baseball season. The answer's not coming anytime soon.
Yeah, Puma will be paying attention.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, to answer the direct question, will he land with the Lakers? I think he will. I think that's going to be their best offer, but we don't know where that number one pick's going.
Yeah. Definitely. And moving on to football now. In the NFL, this story came out right after our show on last Thursday. Robert Kraft, in a little bit of a pickle here in the NFL, found that allegedly a massage parlor doing all sorts of things. Rick, with the allegations that are out there, what should the punishment be if he is truly found guilty of these issues? The NFL, a lot of this stuff is happening in the offseason. I feel like there's these guys, even the players and the owners, it looks like, no one takes any pride in being part of the NFL, and it's becoming a joke. I mean, the offseason is like for the wild boys. So what should the punishment be if there is any?
It's difficult to say because I'm not of the mindset of taking away football assets with a situation like this. This was Robert Kraft. This was not a Patriots thing. This isn't a Belichick, a Brady thing. When we talk about deflated footballs and Spygate, those are football issues. This isn't a football issue. This is a Robert Kraft issue. So I'll ask you. I'm going to find you're a multi-billionaire. I'm going to fine you. Well, what am I going to fine you? $100,000? You walk around with that.
Yeah,
so
right.
So
he farts that out.
Right. So are we going to fine him to the point where it actually hurts him, or are we just going to go with? Look, I don't know what is going to happen in terms of the legal process. The one thing I want to say is let's not call this sex trafficking.
Right.
All right. This
it came out today. I'm sorry to cut you off. Allegations came out today that it will be most likely a misdemeanor. Where Mr. Kraft won't be even showing up in court. He'll have his attorneys show up in court, his representation. So to me, I feel like, when I first heard this story, I was jumping all over it. Like, how could someone do this? At the same time, millions of these places are going around in America.
It's just that it's him.
And you could just say he's just guilty of being a dirty old man.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone for what they choose to do because, again, you're right. If it was Joe Harris, Joe Simpson down the street, no one would care.
Right.
We're not condoning this behavior by any stretch.
By any stretch. But it's who and what.
Right. It's who, what, when. The morning of the AFC Championship, probably not the best time, being that the game's in Kansas City and you're in Jupiter, Florida around 11 a.m. Granted, I'm sure your private flight's waiting for you whenever you want to get on it. But at the same time, I just think that we're not overblowing it, but I think when the NFL is off, and technically we're still at the end of the 2018-19 season. We haven't started. Right, we haven't started the 19-20 season yet. When the combine starts, which is technically at the end
this
of
Friday.
the old season, right? Right. So it's still part of the old season. We're looking for things, and I'm not saying people sought this out. I think this kind of came to the attention, but we're not going to get into details of what exactly happened. But at the same time, it's not what it originally seems.
Seemed and sounded like.
Right.
And being the Jet fan that I am, and everyone knows, I was ready to take all their draft picks. Right. Because if I would have found out that he was spearheading or a part of something like this, I would have instantly said, if I'm the commissioner, they cannot draft in 2019.
Well, you can't do that.
What do you mean you can't do that?
This is punishing the football team when the football team has nothing to do with it. So they're not supposed to get any new players. Remember, this is a Patriot team that for the first time in a long time actually had a lot of draft picks. We usually talk about the Patriots. You get 7 picks. Mm-hmm. 7 rounds, 7 picks. And let's talk about the Patriots. They're always in the back end. Well, round they're in the back end.
This is not great representation on their owner's part. He owns the team, therefore he's a reflection of the team. Therefore, what makes him any different than the player?
So should Brady be penalized because his owner did some stuff that...
I'm not saying penalize Brady, so to speak. I'm saying penalize the whole franchise, which means they cannot replenish or get more players.
And who does Brady play for? He plays for the Patriots. He doesn't play. It's not the Tom Brady
knowing
team.
them, they would find a way to get through it anyway.
Right, but look, maybe you take away a draft pick. We're not going to let them have, 10 draft picks this year, so they can't get any draft picks.
No.
Right. Well,
I don't want to give them
from the Jet fan. Right, even you know what the sad part is? If the Jets got every single one of the Patriots picks, they still wouldn't be better than the Patriots this year.
Whoa, okay, wait. Listen,
I can give...
Naturally, Ricky has brought a semi-automatic to a knife fight.
Right, well, we could give... Right, basically what I just said is we can give the Jets 17 draft picks thereabout. The Patriots could have 0, and I'd still take the Patriots
roster.
It's
like playing 20 scratch-offs in 1 week. You're bound to hit on one, right?
The Jets aren't so sure. We don't... First of all, you're sold on Darnold. You were also sold on... You're sold on Rosen.
I am.
Right. You were sold on Hackenberg.
Whoa. I wasn't sold on Hackenberg. Hackenberg could hold my groceries.
Who was the last quarterback that you were sold on? That's not Jet quarterback. Don't tell me Chad Pennington.
No. I was sold on?
Someone that you said you could sink your teeth into and say, you know what, this team's got a chance. This quarterback's got a chance.
It was probably Fitzpatrick.
Right. Okay, right.
What do you want me to do?
Right.
What do you want me to do?
So basically,
what would you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Not root for my team?
No, in all seriousness, you are someone that sinks their teeth into ideas quickly.
Oh, whoa. Listen, just because I like the idea.
No, but you sunk your teeth into Mahomes and you were dead right. It's good and bad.
It goes both ways.
Right.
I either live or die by this.
I need a year or two to decide. Now, I might be a little late to the party. On a few, I was late to the party on Mahomes compared to you. I think I was early to the party compared to most people.
We could say we were both a little bit late to the party with Baker because you weren't crazy about Big 12 quarterbacks. Let's admit that.
Right. Well,
I wasn't big on short quarterbacks.
Right.
Altogether.
I think I had slightly more value because the short quarterback, we're just comparing the player. The Big 12, we've seen. Guys struggle.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Bradford was in the Oklahoma system, couldn't do anything.
And he's probably better of them all.
Great, right.
At that point.
Right, at that point in time, could we not make the argument Sam Bradford was supposed to be Peyton Manning at this point in his career?
How about Jason White? Remember
Jason White? We can go Graham Harrell, Vince Young, Colt McCoy. We can go through a lot of guys in the Big 12. Robert Griffin, and we come up with nothing. Now, granted, Robert Griffin was hurt, banged up, but... At the same time, we go through a lot of Big 12 quarterbacks, and what do we come up with? Not much. So at the same time, if we go through all the starting quarterbacks, which we're not going to do, the best of the best, not from the Big 12. I'm not putting Baker in the best of the best.
It's been one season.
Right. I mean, Big Ben, Miami of Ohio. Brady, Michigan. Peyton Manning, not playing more, but Tennessee. I'll throw Phillip Rivers in there. NC State. Russell Wilson, Wisconsin, and NC State. Like, we could, you know what I mean? Like, none of these guys are Big 12 quarterbacks. So, in terms of sinking our teeth into things, Mahomes is a Big 12 quarterback as well. But I think Mahomes would have excelled anywhere. I don't think it was fair to really label him as a Big 12 quarterback.
So, 5 seconds. What should Kraft get, punishment-wise?
$500,000 fine.
That's it.
Look, I mean, I'm not going to fine the guy $1 million for something that does it for what we think is going to be a misdemeanor.
I'm not going to take away the picks because that was last week's thought. Now, I would say, same thing like you, the fine. He has to do some community service, and actually he has to, I think it would be best if he spoke for this problem of prostitution, trafficking, and all the negativity that goes into it.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page. I think, first of all, we can both agree to get rid of all the picks wouldn't have happened. But at the same time, you know, I don't think we're going to just let it go lightly. I think, look, whatever the fine the NFL comes up with is going to be substantial. So at the same time, what I think we need to do is just, you know, take the fine for what it is. But it did bring up a point that I'd like to talk about, and you could jump in, I guess, really whenever. This isn't the first thing the Patriots have gone through. We talk about Spygate a long time ago. We talk about Deflategate. I don't know if this is Parlorgate, whatever we want to call this one. This is the third thing that's
Massagegate.
Right, sure, Massagegate. Right, we can call it whatever we want. At this point in time, the Patriots win, but we could look. I'd like to call them a three-headed monster because the owner is so impressionable.
Got it.
He's
hanging out with Meek Mills.
Right, all three guys. Right. He's hanging out. Right, he's dancing the night of the Super Bowl. Buddy, you're 75. You have the owner, the coach, and the quarterback, the star, that have all been involved with something. Is this a black mark for this franchise? Is this the final straw where I say, you know what, they win, but they don't do it the way the NFL intends it to be done?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you go back, they are not the 1980s or your father's Pittsburgh Steelers, all those other dynasties, or even Dallas in the early 90s. They are not that team. Yes, they've had sustained success on the field, but off the field, it's been very controversial. Like you said, and we recapped Spygate, Deflategate, and now this issue that has arrived. There always seems to be some other obstacle in their way. And if anything, it scares me because I feel like it fuels them more.
Right. It's ironic. I was just about to say.
Especially someone as in Brady. That's all they need is some other bulletin board, anything.
Right.
Let's rally around the owner.
Gronk takes on the personality of this franchise, which seems to be we have our fun. We don't sometimes do it the right way in terms of off the field, and we're in the whatever. But when it comes time to play, A, don't count us out, and B, we're going to be there.
Right.
Gronk has his fun off the field, does whatever he wants to do. It's ironic because he could do the same stuff that Antonio Brown does. You know what the difference is? Gronk wins Super Bowls. Gronk plays in big games and he shows up big.
Absolutely.
Antonio Brown doesn't win. In his defense, he's a wide receiver, not a quarterback, but he doesn't win. So I think we're getting to the point where this isn't, out of all three issues, this is the least of the three, but the three-headed monster now all has a black mark all on their resume. So
yes,
we'll see how this plays out.
Gronk situation, for fantasy purposes, reality, if you're in a keeper league, can you trust Gronk? Even if
would you be keeping Gronk? Is that your question?
Yes.
I wouldn't keep Gronk if he walked into my living room and was willing to pay me.
I have a kid.
Unless I'm in a 50-man league.
People out there in fantasy community, television world. I have a kid in my league, my fantasy football league, and he has Gronk and Julio. Every year he keeps Gronk and Julio. The past 4 seasons. So I said to him, instead of keeping Gronk, because we don't know the situation, and even if he does stay, do you really want someone who contemplated retirement? It's like they retired anyway. So I said, I will offer you Zach Ertz. That's 2 less tight ends on the board because now Gronk's off and Ertz is off. And the position is minuscule at best anyway.
Right. There's only 4 or 5 guys that are really good.
Right. So now you take 2 off the board. You have Ertz. All I want is a 3rd-round pick. I got no response. See that? I guess because I abuse people with text messages.
Right.
At the same,
that's putting it nicely.
But but at the same time, do you think that's a bad deal?
Yeah.
Wait. On whose part?
On his part.
And why so?
Because I know what you're thinking. Nick Foles.
Well, Wentz is going to be there. Wentz is that's his best target.
Right.
So I feel like his value, if not, goes up the back end of the 2nd round, early 3rd round.
Ertz put up an insane year this year.
All the reason more to sell him.
Right. No, I understand that. But when you get an elite position, Ertz, Kelsey, and that's probably about it in terms of because I won't keep Gronk in that elite category anymore.
If Gronk does not,
those guys are worth more than a 3rd-round pick because they're so elite at a position that can't give you anything.
Yeah, it's like catcher of baseball.
Right, exactly. If you got, I'm not even I can't even use Buster Posey anymore because he just A, doesn't cash him many games, and B, he gets banged up a lot.
You could probably equate Buster Posey to the Gronk of football.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Like aging superstars that.
But the difference is Posey can play first base.
Right.
Gronk, it's football. You don't change positions to be.
Right, he's not Ty Montgomery having 2 eligibilities.
Right. It's also like if you're Posey, you can go from a position that's wear and tear to something that's not as wear and tear. What's Gronk going to go to now? A quarterback where it's less wear and tear? I mean, the guy's a tight end.
He gets flagged a lot. But so to the point, you say it's bad because
I don't think it's so bad, but I wouldn't do it if I had that situation, only because I think he's worth more.
You think he's worth more than a 3rd round?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's off season, so there's no gun to anyone's head, obviously. No point intended. But yes, there's no rush to do anything. But I feel as if he would be taken in the 3rd, if not in the back of the 2.
I agree.
I settle.
I would take Kelsey ahead of him.
Right. I think right now you'd probably Kelsey, Ertz. And then, not Gronk, but if Gronk does not return...
Maybe a Greg Olsen cracks your top 5?
I think a lot of people are going to be hot for Eric Ebron.
Okay, but Jack Doyle's still there. Let's remember that.
Right, but
when he comes back.
Even when he was there, Ebron was taking the share.
If you take a look... So I had
Doyle is more touchdown dependent.
Right, but at the same time, Ebron, I think Ebron was top 3 in the whole league in tight ends.
Yeah.
Without Jack, you would have to figure that Ebron bursted onto the scene. That's not going to happen again.
Or you would need like a Trey Burton to burst on.
Right. Trey Burton is a nice bounce back candidate that you can probably get in the 6th.
Who a lot of people thought was a big sleeper coming in.
Right. And I was one of those guys who targeted. I couldn't get him in the draft. I traded for him, and I couldn't even play him. Because that's how poor it got, especially when Trubisky wasn't in the lineup. So I think he's worth more than a 3rd, but I'm happy to see you already focused on fantasy football, even though we're
it's not even entered
5
baseball
months
yet.
Away.
Definitely that's something to contemplate about. But also too, I want to get your take because Friday the NFL Combine is starting all this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had to pick a player, I know we didn't go over this in our production meeting, but if you had to go pick a player, who would it be that you are most eager to watch? Any position.
No, first of all, let's just say even the Jets couldn't mess this one up if they took a D lineman. I mean, so many of these guys, Montez Sweat, Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams, the 2 kids, the Dexter Lawrence, and they're from Clemson. And Clemson's got 4 first-rounders by themselves. Clint and Ferrell and all these guys. I can't wait to watch Devin White. Devin White, the kid from LSU. Look,
outside linebacker.
Yeah, he's a linebacker position,
rusher.
and I wanted to take. If my main player I want to watch is Quinnen Williams. I think he's going to be a star, but I really want to focus on Devin White, and this is the reason why. Because I think he can be a Von Miller-ish type of impact at the next level. We talked about Roquan Smith a lot coming into this draft, but he's a middle linebacker. And he paired well with when they got Khalil Mack. We didn't know that was going to be the case, at the time. But a guy that can pass rush but also cover is so vital. And I think Devin White will excel. Look, LSU, the reason they struggled is because they couldn't score, not because their defense was poor. Between him and Greedy Williams, and they just have cats all over the field. I can't wait to watch Devin White. Who's your guy, offense, defense, that you can't wait to watch?
Definitely. Listen, I'm most noted for offense.
You tell me Marquise Hollywood Brown.
No. It's actually, I was really looking forward to, because I was looking forward to Josh Allen at first, the Kentucky edge rusher. Now, because I remember specifically when Kamara was going into the draft, and I was like, wow, look at this kid, look at Devin Cook. These guys are going to be stars in the NFL. I could see them projected late.
You told me our Darius Stewart, the wide receiver for the Jets.
Stop with that. I said it was a nice pick. I didn't say it was going to become,
the guy didn't make
Swan.
the practice squad.
Anyway, so to me, Bryce Love, Stanford, was a star 2 years ago, fell off this year.
He was a very interesting.
He is undersized. At the same time, he screams Christian McCaffrey.
But he also screams Rashad Penny to me.
Yes, and it could go either way.
I can see him being a star or.
But you see, here's the thing: you're already ahead of the curve because he's not going to be taken in the first 2 rounds. With all the defensive talent that's there, he's definitely a Kamara round 4th or 5th rounder, and with that price, you've won already because anything he's not going to live up to a first round. You can't put that pressure of a first round pick on him, so you have the pressure of a 4th and 5th rounder, which isn't as high as a 1st or 2nd. So he doesn't have to play right away. But if you get him in a great circumstance, like a Minnesota Viking offense, or even New York Jets,
Well, I think the Vikings are set with Dalvin Cook.
No, right. But just like a change of pace, maybe.
Oh, so you're looking at him as a 3rd down back because Christian McCaffrey is a 3-down back.
Right.
So it depends on what are we going to value him as at.
Right.
If you get if he's a first rounder, which we don't think he's going to be,
right? No,
that's a 3-down back. You're drafting a 3-down back.
I'm saying eventually he turns into a 3-down back. Right now, you know how McCaffrey came into the league and you had C.J. Anderson taking all those touches. Can he be a
James White-ish
type
of player? I think that's fair.
That's possible. And out of the backfield,
right? Can catch passes, does a lot of little things. I don't think he's an between the tackle type of runner.
No.
Neither is Christian McCaffrey. He can do it, McCaffrey, but he's not Saquon. He's not trying to get in between the tackles. You're trying to get him out in space.
Perfect place for him. Stays right there in Stanford. San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
I know you have Jerick McKinnon coming back.
They're similar players.
Very similar player, but you don't know how that ACL is going to hold up after he tore it last training camp. So I feel like Bryce Love is probably a mirror image, maybe someone you could put behind him just in case he doesn't make it through another season. You have a Bryce Love and maybe another back that could work into that offense. And we've seen with that Kyle Shanahan offense what a Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman can look like in that offense, spreading the ball around. And especially if they make a play for AB, that could be a good offense.
No, 2 stories to watch. Just not that I'm looking forward to, but A, does Kyler Murray throw?
No.
Which doesn't seem like he's going to.
No, I wouldn't if I were him.
What type of motor does Ed Oliver have? Ed Oliver, the kid from Houston, was supposed to be the first overall pick. He was supposed to dominate college football. That did not happen.
He was on Mel Kiper, actually very knowledgeable insider. Always does the draft, and he was ranked number 1 coming into 2018.
Right, and he's still a top 10. Let's not.
But he fell off.
Right, let's not pretend he's.
I don't know why he screams Quentin Coples to me. Remember Quentin Coples
from UNC?
Yeah,
the Jets guy.
Yeah. Stay away.
Look, I don't know what type of player he is mentally. He had a little fire up with his coach on the sideline towards the end because. I don't understand why, but down in Houston, they're the Cougar. If you're a starter, you get to wear a jacket, an on-the-field jacket. If you're not a starter, you don't. If you're not playing, he was wearing a jacket, and his coach told him to take it off. I don't love the rule, but if that's the team rule, that's the team rule. Take off the jacket. He didn't feel like it. They got into a little not skirmish, but it just goes to show I don't know what type of player he is mentally. I don't know if he's going to be, when the going gets tough, does he prevail or does he shut down?
Because this is such a heavy defensive draft, I got an idea for you, and Jets Nation, hold on to your breath. Jets not most notable for doing well in the first round and with picking defensive talent.
Or winning games.
Okay, let's just stick on one subject, please.
Right.
The last one I could pick from my brain that they picked was Darrelle Revis. That was actually successful. That's a defensive player. So, who's looking for defense? Pittsburgh Steelers. Would you swap that third pick, just that third pick, to the Pittsburgh Steelers, defer some of the money, take on Antonio Brown? Because now you're bringing in a short thing.
I don't know if he's worth a first-round pick.
You know what's coming in the door with Antonio Brown. Yeah, he could be a pain in the you-know-what, but that guy...
Is that what Darnold needs?
I think he just needs playmakers, dude. If you could...
So if you're the Jets, you're going to make a play for Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
The
only difference would be...
If I'm the GM of the Jets, if I have to do my due diligence to make this team better. And I believe with those two cats, instantaneously, they become better overnight.
Oh, of course they do. Anytime you add, in my opinion, the best running back
at their position.
And I think I'd be very hard-pressed to say best wide receiver as well. Of course you're going to be better, but...
I cannot trust the Jets. I'm going to say it again. I cannot trust the Jets with this third pick. Yes, they did well last year because, okay, there were 4 choices coming out. How bad could you mess that up? Okay, they got their guy in Darnold. Okay, move on a year later. We have the third pick again. I am not seeing them mess this up. Swap it to Pittsburgh. They need a defender anyway. You know, they'll pick whoever is right for them.
They'll take the first-round pick in a heartbeat. If the Jets picked up the phone tomorrow, the trade would be done.
And we have to defer the money. I think he's getting $18 million per year. Well, they have to eat half of it.
Well, I think before we move on to baseball, speaking of money, I think that pretty much just says...
But is that not a bad idea?
It's not bad, but you're taking on a lot of money for a team that's not going to beat the Patriots anyway. Might not make the playoffs.
Whoa. If we had the mindset of that, we wouldn't play the games.
Right, and maybe the Jets shouldn't. But anyway.
Okay, so then the Jets would be on the hook for $9 million. Perfect. And then you know what? You go make a play for Lev Bell and give him 3 years at $65 million guaranteed.
Right, you give him 65. Right, you give him $65 million guaranteed. Right, for
3 years.
A guy who ballooned and is out of shape.
wait, for 3 years, and then you got them too, and then you
while Brady's still there, you're not making the playoffs.
Okay, listen, all right. If we think like that, we could cripple him too.
Right, you can cripple him. Right.
And then we get some late defenders down the road.
And then we mess with the Gatorade powder, so we get he's sick.
Sorry, we're not from New England. We don't do that.
Right. But speaking of long-term money, Bryce Harper. It looks like the Phillies are the main contender. But it seems like the Dodgers have hopped in for a short term. They might be looking at a 4-year, 150, maybe 140. Look, I think Harper, I've said this for a long time.
I don't think he wants to go to Philly.
I don't think he does either. I think he's waiting for that final offer from Washington to come back in for them to topple whatever it's going to be. If the Phillies offer $320, he tells the Nats $350 and we're done. I'm a national for life.
This might be the free agent in recent years that I could remember that probably has some people by the you-know-whats. He has the MLB game coming out. He has endorsements, Under Armour, a Gatorade. He has many others.
Got it all.
Yeah, he's got it all, basically. So does Bryce Harper need extended spring training? Possibly not. Probably a week or so of at-bats. So he could hold this thing out possibly till
middle of March.
End March. He doesn't care about
season starts a little earlier this
year.
Year.
But in my mind, this guy doesn't care about being there.
I think he's got to be in camp by March 10th.
Right.
Before it starts to actually inhibit. Right. Because remember...
This happened with Arrieta last year a little bit.
I think pitchers take a little bit longer than a hitter. I'm not saying he can simulate games. But at the same time, you get 2-3 weeks of at-bats. He'll make it happen. For a guy like Arrieta, you got to develop that chemistry with the catchers.
I hear him and Boris are trying to strike 400.
That's not happening.
Well, that's why we're taking so long. And I feel like Harper's thinking, okay, Philly wants me. They're going to have to overpay for me. The problem with Harper is there are no other suitors who are willing to go that far.
No.
You have San Francisco and LA waiting in the wings, but they're offering 4 or 5 for 150. Or 200, whatever. They're offering the short-term high AVV. Okay, that's great and all. But when it comes down to it, we want the security and the years. That's what it's all about for the player.
I think it's going to be $350 from the Nationals.
I say around that, or like $340, $325.
From who?
From Philly.
So you think he ends up there?
I think ultimately he ends up with Philly. Philly is the most serious. They have the most money to dish out, and I believe in the end Philly will prevail. But if I'm Washington, I don't know how I could just sit there. Again, we mentioned this on our last show. I don't know how I could sit there and just let him walk out and see him 18 times a year. They are in the same division.
But if the Nationals, are you talking about from a Nationals perspective?
Right.
Well, if they don't think he's worth it, then you don't think he's worth it.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you traded him to the Phillies. No. Like the Mets were thinking about letting DeGrom.
Right.
That's one
different. Thing if the Yankees signed DeGrom.
Right. If Cano signed with the Red Sox and not the Mariners, then the Yankees say, well, he walked.
Right.
Like, if you trade him, if the Yankees say,
that's solely in your hands.
Right. If we're going to trade him to Boston, now I get why we'd be upset.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it's one thing in football. Everyone makes a big deal of, right, AB to, I said maybe Lev Bell to the Ravens, and you love that idea in terms of the run.
Man.
And everyone, well, you'd be playing the Steelers twice. 2 out of 16 games isn't really that big of a deal. If you're playing someone 18 times, that's a lot. Especially when the Yankees and Red Sox, or the Dodgers and the Giants, well, usually the Giants, but Cubs and Brewers or whatever, the games come down to September.
I feel like
as opposed to the Jets in football, or it doesn't really come down to the last week all the time.
I feel like a lot of guys get caught up in that. I want to see the team that I used to play for twice a year.
I think some guys really do have that on
Des Bryant.
You get obsessed with trying to show them why they should have kept you instead of, you could have been with Baltimore. I mean, going back to football a little bit, Des could have been with Baltimore getting $8 million or something like that for 2 years, or 16 for 2 years. That's what was the contract that was out there. Any other player would have said, hell yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
And why? Because Baltimore? No. The real reason was it wasn't Philly or New York or Washington.
Right, and then he tried to get with New Orleans and unfortunately got hurt. But, speaking of Yankee fans, we want to get some Yankee talking.
Yes, little Yankee hot stove.
Right.
My boy Luke Voigt, he hit a 3-run bomb.
Troy Tulowitzki hit a home run today. Kyle Higashioka hit a home run today. Both off Marcus Stroman.
Another one who wants a deal too.
Right, he wants a deal. Right. Shouldn't get it. I think he's
Puma wants a deal too. Right. Ricky wants a deal.
Right. We all want deals. Some of us are worth it. Some of us.
But you know who do get a deal? Who got a deal?
Aaron Hicks
to the Stix.
7 years, $70 million extension. I don't think that extension kicks in until next season.
It kicks in this year.
Oh, it starts in... Okay, so
6 more years.
So they're... Right, okay. So I take that back. So we're going to start it from right now.
Right.
I'll go first real quick because I think you have a bigger take, a hotter take. I don't mind... if I said it to you this way... Well, you're more concerned with the years, right? Not with the money, because I don't think $70 million is all that.
No,
for someone who's pretty versatile.
If you told me he was getting $70 million and he was getting it within 4 years, I would have less of a problem.
Right. So my concern to you, my question, I shouldn't say my concern. If it's the same amount of money, what's the difference? Because you can let him go. This way, you spread it out. Maybe you can buy him out. After year 4, because it's about 10 a year. He's not making any more or less per year, really.
Well, okay, let's start from the basics. Going into this season, from arbitration, he had won. He was going to be making $6 million. Okay, so now that's a $4 million bump. We're going from 6 to 4.
Sure.
Okay,
for this year,
going to the future. He is 29 years old. That is a fact. Okay.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to debate his age.
No, right. Okay, what has history shown us? That at age 31 is like the magic number for decline.
Okay.
Okay, 30, 31.
Sure.
Okay, we have to have another 5 years after that.
Sure.
If you go into this season with Aaron Hicks in his walk year, a la many other players who have gone in their walk year, the odds are the man would have performed for the 3rd straight year. Now it's up for grabs because now it is solely on the mind of Aaron Hicks if he's going to perform. A, he's got the contract. B, he's got the security. And C, now the Yankees have just entrenched their outfield for the next 6 years. That is terrible because now, hear me out. Aaron Hicks wasn't the speediest guy to begin with. That's a fair assessment. He's not Brett Gardner, and Brett Gardner's like 34. Anyhow, he's not fast to begin with. Now you have 3 guys that have to play the outfield. Yes, you might DH here and there, off with Judge and Stanton and play Gardy every which way. But at the same time, to stay in center field, the most versatile position, going back side to side, up and down, wherever you want to call it, at the age by the time that contract is expired is absurd to me. You give him 7 years. It is not like we're talking about the 22-year-old Aaron Hicks. This is the 29 version of Aaron Hicks. And yes, it's a late bloomer a la Justin Turner and David Murphy. Yes, he bloomed late. That's fine. It happens. At least he's in the show. At the same time, for me, I don't like the deal because now there's no motivation because he's not going into that walk year anymore. And again, B, now, which a point I didn't bring up, what is that? What is the aftermath of that? Estevan Florial, where does he fit in? He's only 19, 20 years old.
Trade piece.
Where does Clint Frazier fit in? Right. I understand that. At the same time, how are we going to see these players develop if you just gave Aaron Hicks another 6 years? Let's just say he makes 4 of those years. Estevan Florial will be ready, I estimate, next year. Where are you going to put Florial? Oh, by the way, you still have a man, Mr. Ellsbury, who's on the contract.
Well, that's over. Forget about that.
But at the same time, we could say it's over. But
it is over. You're still playing Ellsbury.
You're still paying the dude the 22 to 23 million per year, another 2 seasons. That's just wasted money. Now people want to say to me, they were on the radio clapping and saying CMB. I can't stand them. That's number one because they shouldn't even be on the air.
CNB.
That's the new show that was supposed to take over.
CNBC.
No. This is how much they are popular. Carlin, Maggie, and Boomer, and Bart Scott.
Never heard of that show.
It's on WFAN. Anyhow.
Sure.
Okay, they come on before. Really, I can't listen to a millionaire, ex-football player, because he doesn't know the side of us. Okay, then they have a woman who used to work for Sports Illustrated. I mean, I think she knows more than both of them. And then you have Chris Carlin, who used to work for SNY. Long story short, I don't like their ideas, nor do I like where sometimes the show is going. Anyhow, them applauding Cashman for this signing, the applause was for last week's signing with Severino, because yes, that's a team-friendly deal as well, but it's a pitcher. Pitchers are more supply and demand on the market. So I understand, and that one I would applaud for. But from the Hicks point of view, we have right now you entrench your outfield. Yes, you want to say, okay, you're good for 6 years, that's fine, but they're going to all grow old. You know what I mean? There's no defense.
I think the best way we can say, again, this is one of those, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, but history has shown those kind of contracts do not work out.
That's fine, but
I'd rather have Hicks on his last season.
But then he might walk.
He might walk. Okay, he's Mickey Mantle all of a sudden. But
it's not that.
Rick, come on.
This team, okay.
Rick, Aaron Hicks on the market today. What is Aaron Hicks getting today?
What? For a brand new contract or just for the next year?
Just say he was a free agent today. If he was a free agent today, he didn't sign this deal.
4 years for 50 mil.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. I'm dead serious.
I think he would get 2 years at maybe 30 million, 25 million.
No way.
Come on. You had AJ Pollock get less money than him.
Okay, what is that? What has AJ Pollock done?
Is the better player.
But what does AJ Pollock? Does AJ Pollock win games?
No, but okay, but you could say the same thing for Hicks. Hicks is on a better team.
They won 101 games last year.
Okay, but Aaron Hicks did not win 101 games.
Who gets hurt more? Yankees. Who gets hurt more?
Oh, Pollock, I would say.
Oh,
but Pollock had
great.
the better stats for me. And
the guy doesn't play.
And Pollock's on a last place team. So that means more
Well, we'll
to me.
find out this year because he's not on a last place team.
No, right. So I say
so we'll
he'll
find
even
out
do better.
But
I'm just
if he
saying,
plays.
Right, if he plays. But at the same time, I felt like that was too jumping the gun for Cashman.
That's fine.
And, hey, listen, it's my opinion. That's the great thing about sports. We both have our
and I think the best way
But history has shown when you go into those late 30s, those contracts just don't age well. Look at Ellsbury. Look at all of these deals.
No, and I think to sum things up, I think we could, if nothing else, the Yankees are being aggressive.
Right.
They've shown
and you
that.
clog a position.
Right, sure. You clog a position, but they're being aggressive. As a fan, I'd rather a team be aggressive, especially coming from you. But we're going to try something new today.
Oh, thanks for cutting. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. If you have anything else you want to say.
No, I'm very unhappy about it. And I was telling my mother today when she was making my oatmeal that, I can't believe they gave him 7 years at $70 million. Because it makes no sense. I know it's friendly. At the same time, I was clamoring about that Andrew McCutchen deal to Philly.
Right. Well, which team that's not even yours, but you're not a fan of.
I mean, I love all baseball.
Right.
All right, we move on.
But we are going to try something new.
The show must move on. Yeah. Go on.
I'm going to close it out for us.
You're going to close it out for us today.
I'm going to do my best. Tell me how I do at the end.
Okay.
In conclusion, please subscribe to JFP Sports on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to do the Dr. Seuss thing because that is yours. But as always, we appreciate the listeners, the viewers that tune in. So until next week, do you want to close it out with your Dr. Seuss?
Just good day, folks, and don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened, like in the great words of Dr. Seuss. You did a good job there, pal. Till next time, folks.